So Joy, I have to say, Joy, you're the glue in our family. That's what I'd say. You're the big sister, and you're just kind of wired to be the glue. And I mean, you know what my podcast is about, but I thought I'm just curious about why you've always felt this sense of urgency to make sure that you connect specifically with family and with others.
I think you're kind of born with it or you're not a lot of times. And I just have always felt drawn to family. I remember as a young girl being with mom and her siblings or dad and his siblings, you know, any of my aunts and uncles and my grandparents. I was the oldest grandchild on both sides. So family has always been there, and I've had lots of family, you know, around me. Didn't have as many cousins because I was the oldest grandchild by a long way, but had a lot of siblings. And my aunts on mom's side were closest. I mean, Janelle was just 2 years older than me, so she was kind of
closer
my cousin.
in age than we are, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah. But it was just always, and it was. I remember great grandparents. You know, we had great grandpa Turpin when I was first born, and I don't know. I think it was something I was just born with, that family matters. And if there's a family gathering, it matters to me that I get to it. I'm not as good as our brothers at just playing with people. But
you don't do snowmobiles? What? Like they are this weekend?
They wouldn't want me. I just get stuck. I wouldn't be any good at all.
I rolled one down the mountain, so they don't invite me anymore. So.
No, but if they need a babysitter, they'd probably invite me.
Yeah, they totally would. I've been there. Yeah. Like, thanks,
no, guys. But I whenever there's a need, I feel like, or, you know, just the reunions and stuff. That's always been important to me. And it's important to Clendon, which it helps when you marry somebody that it's important to them as well. Because then they don't feel, I think sometimes that's friction in a relationship is, oh, you want to go spend time with them, but we don't have as much time for just us. And that's not been the case in my relationship. He's been really good.
My side. I mean, because you've grown up next to your in-laws.
I have.
I mean, like you've been your whole married life, you've lived next door.
We live right next door. Yeah.
And yet I don't think I've ever seen in your relationship with Clendon that, I mean, because she's always let you make the time to go visit your family.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's not equal time. And that's something people need to come to grips with in any family. When you have two sides that you're dividing between, there's no such thing as equal time. But you try and make time for people and events and do what you can. And so I just really enjoy, and my family, they're some of my very favorite people. I love my siblings. I love Clendon's siblings, our in-laws, nieces and nephews. They're just, and I love watching them grow and progress and move to the next phase in life.
Yeah.
So,
Why?
I think that we are wired by nature. I think God puts us in us that we want to see growth and we want to see the creation of the next unit. You know, there's something godlike in growing and progressing and becoming the best version of yourself. And so it's delightful to me to go and support events where I get to see family members showcasing their talents, or the joy of a union, a wedding or a birth, cry with people when there's a death, But even I thought it was important I wasn't as good at supporting Roots Tech, but but it was important to you.
You actually did come to Roots
I did
Tech
come.
A couple of times, I feel like.
I did come, and it's not my jam so much, but it was important to you, and I do feel like supporting family and things that are important to them it's what God does for us, so I had to do that for other people. And
well, I mean, it was my job.
I know, but it was important to you, and it really you have always been passionate about family history, and gathering. I feel like that's in you to be passionate about that, and it's blessed so many people, our family.
Well, I really like the stories. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, that's the thing. It's actually understanding, previous generations, how did they handle that? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that actually matters to me. And it matters that we make these personal connections. Same thing, just we don't see them right now, right? Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and I guess
I felt that connection with them.
And see, that's amazing that you feel the connection with people that are deceased, because that's sometimes harder. You have to dig to find the stories, It's not like me going to a recital or going to an event.
It's kind of like, I love like at the end of the Bible where it talks about the hearts of the children turn to the fathers, and the fathers to the children, lest the earth be smitten with a curse. And I've thought about that. I'm like, so what's the curse? If we stop doing that, why do we have to actually care about those who've gone before? Why do we have to care, like in your case, like you've been that glue that does it for us here and now? And, the future generations too. Like, why does that matter? That we leave things behind for them. And what do you think? Why? Like, why does that matter?
It just makes this adhesive connection of belonging. I think when you feel that connection to the ones that have gone before and the ones that are going ahead, your own purpose matters more. You're a link in that chain, and your heart is changed when you're a part of something versus being a singular, it's only about me in the here and now. So.
And you know what's funny is I've been that single sister like the whole time everyone's been married, and I thought I had to find my place though, and I finally, what you just said rings true to me. For me, I had to find it wasn't necessarily going to be my own children, but it was definitely getting to know those that were, I love my nephews and nieces immensely, and I care just, in some ways, maybe I've mothered them too much, and Mom had to tell me once to step back, that's not your stewardship. I'm like,
sometimes that's nice, you don't have to do the discipline.
Yeah, well,
all that stuff. And don't you feel like when you understand and when you feel that connection before and after, you do feel more of a belonging and a link, and your purpose
I
matters
understand.
more.
Well, and it's helped me kind of seek what my purpose is, right? And I've had to have that moment with God too, that just says, well, what is my purpose? If it's not this, then what is it? And it's made me have to seek that answer for me. And I think that's different for everyone. I think we're all given different things, to come and do. But
well, and don't you feel like at different stages of life, I'm entering the empty nest stage, I'm not responsible for children. I have grandchildren that I love dearly now, but it's a different role. And sometimes as your role changes or trying to find your purpose at different stages of life, you can feel a little floundering. Well, what do I do now? I'm all done with that part of my life. So is there anything,
what's my purpose?
Is there anything that I'm doing? Because I've been a stay-at-home mom. And that's been my primary purpose, is to raise my children and to make them productive.
What have you figured out? Because it's been, almost 2 years now since you had to figure
since my baby flew the coop. For me, the relationship with my husband has been pivotal. I appreciate spending more time with Clendon and fostering that relationship in a way you don't when all the kids are at home and you're running different directions. So I've really enjoyed the empty nest stage of life.
It was so fun to hike yesterday, and these guys still used to like hold hands and stuff. I thought,
I do.
I was going to say that's been pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, so. I love my husband a lot, but too, to find purpose in, I can be that support of a grandparent, and the aunt role becomes more of a dominant role in my life.
You're the one sibling I know I can call at 4:00 in the morning and you might answer the phone.
Maybe
when I'm in the middle of a brain moment or a seizure, I'm like, Joy, just be here with me.
Well, I did it once. It depends on the night. Some nights, when you get too many spam calls, I turn it to silent and it doesn't go off. So.
No, I've had to learn. I mean, we all learn, right? Yeah. We all grow and we figure out what we can and can't do. Yeah. So, what about your relationship as you look upward? What is that for you?
It has always been a constant in my life. I think some people are born believing in God, and I was blessed to be one of them. It's always come easy for me to feel God's presence in my life, to feel the presence of my deceased ancestors.
You've never questioned it?
Oh, no, I have questioned it. And probably the time I've questioned it the most has been as my children have become adults, and I have children that have struggled with their own belief. What do I believe? Which has made me, for me, it was always easy to believe, but part of that was because everybody around me that I loved believed.
So when and it makes didn't it easy. Have that, you had to start to actually say,
why does this make sense? And it just does. For me, it makes sense. When I stop and I think about it, and I think about the evidence in my life of the times that I have felt watched over and guided, the evidence is just, if I stop and reflect on that,
Yeah.
and if you study a little bit, there's a lot of times where God's saying, you ought to write things down. You ought to record those moments when things really matter to you.
You've always been a writer, though, too.
Yeah,
and that helps
for
you
me,
process.
It does. It does. Although when I was young, I was a great journal keeper. I have not been a great journal keeper as an adult. Did family letters for a lot of years,
right,
that we'd get some input from people. But
yeah, when I gave up, you took over.
I did. I took over. So. But no, now everybody's kind of the technology, and I do think it's important to record it somehow so that the future me can look back, mostly probably,
right.
But then people that care to look, they can look too and see what I believed. So yeah, I questioned it, and it has made my testimony grow more of the light that comes from above, that God is there and that He's present in my life and that He cares about what I become and what He cares about what I do every day. Yeah. I believe that.
Right.
And that He's with me in it. And I believe in making a covenant, with Him, a promise to Him. There's something binding in an actual
promise,
commitment that, it's more than just saying, I'm going to be a good person, but in actually being baptized, saying I'm going to be a member of that church. For me, that's been really important, and it's been binding so that I feel like my heart's more committed, and I am trying to say I'm going to be the best version of me I can become with your help.
Do you know, Joy, just because I feel like I've had some pretty good conversations with some of your boys, just as they have kind of fallen off, just where that hasn't been a thing for them. And it's interesting to me, the constant, you probably know this, is Mama Joy. I don't want to disappoint Mama Joy.
And they've been sweet. We've shared tears together. But,
yeah, I mean, I think they feel comfortable having those conversations with you, which says a lot, and that you'll listen to them, and that you'll hear where they're at right now, and that you still make them very much feel welcome.
Does God make any of us feel less welcome or less loved because we believe differently than what He'd like us to believe? No. So how can you do less as a parent? I just feel like it doesn't mean I have to say that I accept what they believe, but I can be respectful of it. I can try and learn and understand where they're at. So it's a growing learning process, but I super enjoy my family and spending time with them. Extended family, my own children and grandchildren. It just kind of makes me tick. So I hope I'm a nice enough person. They always kind of want me around. So I don't want to be like the mean old lady.
So it's interesting, just because I just talked with Clendon, I thought you guys have some similar views for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think about all that, and just what makes you tick, and that importance of family and your grandkids. So tell me something recently. What's been one of your most meaningful connections with a person lately? And it doesn't have to be family.
Oh, most meaningful connections with a person lately. That's kind of a hard one all of a sudden.
I put you on the spot.
Yeah, sorry. This is one that is like, you should call me 10 minutes before. Give me some time to think about that. I'm trying to think.
I don't always ask that question, but I'm going to ask it of you, because I'm trying to just I want to learn from you.
Do you know what? Last week, Lad came to visit us, and we had just a really nice afternoon with him, and a really nice conversation where we weren't seeing eye to eye on everything.
Yeah.
But I felt like we were trying to understand each other.
Yeah.
And we could disagree and even get a little upset with one another, but come back around and say, but we love each other.
Right.
And we'll keep working to figure this relationship out.
Right.
I just love that my boys will keep trying, and that they keep coming around and spending time with me, even if we're not the same.
But you can seek to understand each other.
Yeah. And I think that mattered a lot to me that, because you have moments with relationships where you butt heads and then you both go your different directions for a while and kind of lick your wounds and feel sorry for yourself.
You chose to go and serve your community for years as, what was it, in education, right? School board chair or whatever, right?
Where some of the years I was chair.
You had a very difficult thing, we don't have to talk through that happened, where you had death threats that were coming in, right?
Not to me, but
to the teachers that were involved. And, I mean, so you saw a really ugly moment with people who were not seeking to understand his. Talk a little bit about that experience and just how that helped you in this journey of looking up and looking out.
That was one of those. You can go look at Preston School District and you'll find it probably pretty fast what happened, the details of it. But it came down to people from the outside that were far away that saw this situation and thought that it was all about animal cruelty in their minds. But an animal and their perceived notion of it became so big that, we had death threats against a teacher. We had to lock down there were only a couple days we did this. And thank heavens the whole event happened just before our spring break. So then we were able to be done with school for a little bit and let things lie low. But I am not exaggerating when I say there were hundreds of thousands of emails that came into our district and phone calls. And just
media. Did you have a lot of
media? We had media attention from, Salt Lake is our closest major media outlet. And we were on the news there. We were on the news in Boise. And it lasted quite some time because the teacher actually went to trial a year. It's probably about a year later for the thing, chose to plead not guilty instead of guilty and face any charges. And actually, our youngest son was one of the witnesses to what had happened.
Did he have to be in that trial?
Yes, he was a witness in that trial. So personally, I was involved as well as a school board member. And probably one of the things that helped calm, for me, the emotions, because I was really upset that people would threaten my school, my teachers, my students, without really even knowing the details or the people, and it was really, really ugly. And I remember just being so upset that people would not at least try to understand. And we had a school board meeting, I don't know how many weeks after the initial event, and we had outside people there that were ready to complain. And as the board chair, I had watched other board chairs that had been so good, and their example that I had noted, at least, especially one, was to go greet people as they came to these meetings. And so I did. I went and greeted those people and welcomed them to our meeting. And I knew that they were not there to say kind things to us. But that person never did get up and say anything mean. And after the meeting, my fellow board members and the superintendent was like, I think you helped diffuse the situation by showing kindness and just respect. And I wasn't going to just bristle and be mean back, even though that's your natural tendency. You want to just bristle and be so mean back because you were so mean and you caused us so much stress in our district. And not that person did, but the views of some people that they were representing did. And so for me, that was healing to be able to say, well, here are some people that could really still be stinky, but I'm going to choose to be kind to them. And it diffuses situations. And I have found that I'm a crier. So when I get in an argument, I'm not an argumentative person. I cry, but not as much as I used to. The school board toughened me up quite a bit.
I bet that wasn't because
there's a lot of difficult things when you're in a leadership position and you get to see the people that are upset. That's who comes to leadership often. It's not the people that really appreciate you.
Right.
It's the people that are so upset with you and everything that you're doing that tend to come. Most of them are in district, not like our one instance where we had hundreds of thousands of people outside the district that were upset with us. But if you can treat them kindly, if you can listen, if you can try and come to an agreement, not that everybody's completely happy at the end of the situation, because everybody isn't always, but you can work it out. You can work through anything. If you will talk, I love in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, that movie about Mr.
Oh yeah,
Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Tom
yeah.
Hanks and the father's dying, and there's that terrible relationship between the father and the son that they're trying to mend.
I don't remember this.
You should go watch.
Yeah.
You should go watch it. But one of my favorite quotes is, "Anything mentionable is manageable." If you can talk about something, if you can tell somebody how you feel, and they can listen, and we can have a conversation, you can work through anything. You have to start to learn when it's appropriate to mention things and manage them, and when it's okay to just let's not talk about that, because sometimes you say mean things that you shouldn't in the moment. You have to step back and say, okay, is this really worth mentioning, or am I just being annoyed today? So but the big issues that you butt heads on, you definitely need to figure out how to talk and be calm about it.
Right.
Because as soon as you start to escalate and get angry, everybody shuts down.
Everyone gets angry.
Yeah. Nobody listens.
So. Yeah. That seems to be a lesson I try and learn over and over and over again.
Do you know, all of us do.
I fell regularly.
All of us do. Isn't that part of just, becoming our best selves? Is that, some of us can learn a lesson once and some lessons, I'm sure you have learned once and you're just so good. But other lessons, it's just not in our nature it's hard to change.
It's the thing that has to be pounded out of us.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And I don't know. I thought, Anyway, well, Joy, think of all of these, the people who've been maybe your greatest strength for you in your life. If you were to talk to them today, what would you want them to know just in terms of this looking upward and outward journey?
You just feel so much gratitude, and gratitude that they were patient with me when I was sometimes difficult. That grateful for their kindness and goodness. I think the thing that often influences me most by people is the love and the service that I receive from people. Yeah. And sometimes when it wasn't really well deserved, sometimes people have been so kind to me in moments that I maybe wasn't as deserving of that kindness but they chose to be kind and lift and give service when I'm sure it wasn't convenient for them, but they chose to do that anyhow. And watching other people serve other people, that's amazing to me. Some of your good neighbors that have come and helped you. Yeah. I love watching those examples, and people that are tireless in their care for, especially after, for others. I watch
and they're not family.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not family. Often it is family. Often it's family members that, like a long-term care situation, when you have a child that, right now Clendon has a niece who's got a child who is severely disabled to the point where she's, every so often you have to clear the tracheotomy out, and there's severe seizures all the time and no communication, and anyhow, really severe. And she does that so gracefully and so kindly, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting, and it's pretty thankless. And the whole family has had to learn how to adjust around this child that has got real special needs. So I'm just inspired by people like that, that, because I don't know that I'd have the strength or the patience. So anyhow.
Well, we are aging, Joy. Our energy level's not quite up there.
It's not what it once was. But even then, But Clendon's mom took care of her mother.
Her mother, I remember that.
The last 5 years, she lived with her. I think pretty sure it was 5 years, and just gave such kind service. Always looking for ways to give her activities to do and ways that she could feel like she was contributing.
Right.
I really admired that.
That's cool. So that's what you'd want them to know is thank you for showing me a better way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah, thanks for showing me a better way. Something other than the way I'd naturally want to go about things. But
and just where you can draw strength from that, it sounds like. And so when hard things have come your way, because we've talked a little bit about that, has that influenced
for
how
sure.
you act?
For sure. And and I'll admit, I kind of fall apart sometimes when hard things happen,
Yeah.
I have my weeping moments.
Sure.
I kind of cry through things a little bit. And then I feel like you kind of have to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and say, okay, I can do this. I've never felt like I had to do it by myself. I always feel like God is with me. I have a power greater than my own that can sustain me. I believe in the angels, the ministering angels that kind of rally around us and help lift
both
and guide
on
us.
the other side and here.
And this side, yeah.
Right?
Because you have both, It is so cute. I was just thinking, even as I was coming down here, I have friends at home, that know.
Mm-hmm.
They remember you, and they've been concerned for your cancer and stuff.
Who's
and
that?
Just members of my ward, my Colette Ransom, that's my neighbor,
Okay.
and then Cindy, she's, anyhow,
Yeah.
people in our ward and family and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But I had a text on my way down here from, actually, a couple of those friends that were like, we just hope you have the best time visiting your sister. Or just
mostly it's about little Felix who's just been born. I mean, that's what you really needed to have.
Well, I was going to say, so thank heavens we've gotten time with both. We got the baby and we got time with you. We got time with Craig and Allison. It's just, it's a bonus that you two live so close together.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Well, so neighbors that just know the details of your life.
Yeah, and they're concerned about it.
Yeah.
It means a lot. Those little things often mean more. Well, not more, but they mean as much as the big things a lot of times.
Right.
So,
it doesn't have to be a big touch point, does it? To matter.
No.
So
no, just little everyday things that really don't take much time that it can influence in a big way.
Well, I just hope, Joy, I've appreciated all that you've given me. And I thought my energy level's been about this big. So I maybe haven't given back. So thank you.
But you think about all the times you have given, I think that's kind of when you're in the low point, you have to say, well, when I come back up, I'm going to be, more, but you've done so much in the past, with your cousin retreats and family things. And how many times did you babysit my kids?
A few times.
Things?
A few times.
Yeah.
I thought I got to learn. I got to learn a lot as I've done that. And no two children are alike, are they?
No, they aren't.
So.
They aren't. Yeah, I saw. Was it? Who was it they used to be? Was it Kai that you would babysit? But he was a baby.
He was a crier. So
he
was. He'd cry the whole
His
time
tummy hurt.
And I always felt so bad. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do for you.
Love him while he cries.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not an easy baby.
Or it was Tig, because that's where I think we started to say, I think something's off with his eyes.
Oh yeah, Tig. But Tig wouldn't fuss. He was pretty happy baby.
Was he pretty happy? See, and that's where it's been so long I can't remember.
I know. But after 20 years, you think, how was that?
Yeah, I don't remember it all quite.
That is one nice thing to remember when you're going through hard things, is that with a little time, things don't seem quite as hard as they were one time. So,
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming one more time, the fourth time.
Yeah, we'll be down again probably. There's more things.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully we give you moments where you get to go have some fun moments.
We for sure did.
Yeah,
we've had some.
You're good at finding it. So, sure love you. I hope you know that.
Too. Yeah. As well.
We'll just edit this last part out, but.